Really, this takes a look at the traditional marketing funnel and applies where digital fits in each one of those segments. What's the role and objectives of digital in this case for awareness, for instance? And then what are the tool sets that we can use in digital to match? And so this kind of gives you a good overview in terms of like, what are some of the tools that people are using to drive different marketing objectives, and how does that fit in kind of that world of digital? So one of the benefits of digital is it plays in multiple roles, right? It can focus on just kind of the brand building side, but it also can focus on the direct response and actually driving actual sales. There's a lot of flexibility you have in digital in the ability to start and tactically test or evaluate different opportunities that you might have in ways that other types of media or other tactics don't afford. So if you look at any major or big brand, if you look at Delta Airlines or you look at Coca-Cola or Pepsi, you can see that they're connecting with consumers on many different consumer desires across the spectrum, right? So play around on some of the big brand websites and you can see what they're trying to do and how they're connecting tactically across these different elements, from shopping to creating inspiration to educating the consumers. They're trying to create a deeper relationship and connection with that consumer, and digital allows you to do that. If you look at digital and all the digital tactics, digital is also something that lets you connect across the entire consumer experience, and that's very powerful. Okay, digital strategy. What do most companies, what's really the central part? And typically a company's website is the center part of their digital strategy, and it's been that way over time, and that's really important. That we talk about the importance of mobile, et cetera, that the website connects to the consumer across multiple devices, but really the website is usually the central part of a company's digital strategy. Okay, we've talked about paid, owned, and earned media before, and really it's a central component of digital strategy and tactics. And really talking about this is looking at your owned assets, your website, what you have control over, what do you have control as your owned. Earned and shared is really the consumers in terms of word of mouth, people talking about your brand, maybe PR, et cetera. That's your earned media. And paid media is basically your display ads that you buy, or your other things that you're actually paying for. You're paying to leverage a specific channel. So the intersection between all of these is where you need to play to really have like the most effective digital strategy. The challenge that companies have is they shy away from some because they lose some control, right? Especially the earned and shared media. When they put that story out there, they don't have control over where that story's heading or what people are saying about them. But now it's really become expected, and so you have to kind of really make sure that you're integrating, coordinating across these paid, owned, and earned elements to make sure that your marketing strategy is as effective as it can be. So really another critical element in digital is search, right? And so we all know this, that where do people go? You typically go in and search for solution, product, service, idea, et cetera. And so how you show up in that matters. And so your search marketing is a central part and probably one of the most critical components today in terms of your digital marketing strategy. And so I'm not going to go into detail in terms of how this all works, et cetera, but it's just that awareness and knowledge that search is a key part in digital, and developing an understanding of search is really important. Search engine optimization is really kind of the hot topic. That's a must-do in everybody's digital toolbox. And really there's two sides, right? There's the organic search, that's where you show up, versus the paid search. And so you need to really have both of those things working together for you to really connect and actually win in the search game. Okay, another key element in digital is social, right? And so we're all connected and play on different social networks and applications, but social networking is growing, social is important. And this is another one that's really difficult in terms of, this is another control issue that companies have, right? In terms of having that out there and people talking about their brand, is how do you make sure that people are talking about what you want them to talk about? That's kind of the challenge that a lot of companies have. But you have to play on social because the breadth and depth that social has in our lives today. So social strategy can really be divided into two elements as well, in terms of the organic social, that's maintaining and growing followers and through your content and your communication strategy, versus the paid social in terms of how do you create awareness and target based on different social platforms that you can actually have ads or connection points on those social platforms to engage with your consumers. Another digital tactical element is display, and really having an understanding of that, what shows up when, and programmatic advertising is part of display. And that's, again, it's really like creating that a message and that connection and really communicating value through desktop, mobile, et cetera, in display advertising. One of the reasons that content marketing is so popular is the explosion of online video and how different companies and brands are engaging with online video to create content that connects and resonates with their consumer. So remember, what we're talking about across all these elements is how does your brand or product or service create relevance to that target customer. So if you go back to the simplicity of what we're talking about in marketing, all of these tool sets in digital provides an efficient or effective way to do that depending on what you're trying to achieve and what your objectives are. Okay, another element in digital is email, right? So email has been around for a long time, it's the old one, but email still works, it's still relevant, it's still effective. In fact, a lot of people like to receive communication and like to receive messages via email, right? We still have the same challenge with clutter and the amount of emails and spam and all of that, but email in terms of the correctly executed email campaign and strategy still works and is still effective and still needs to be part of the portfolio of tactics and toolbox of most companies. Okay, I wanted to just give you, so that wasn't an end-all be-all in digital, but I wanted to give you kind of just a quick overview of the major digital tactics and kind of the impact that digital is having, that on companies' strategy, et cetera. And we've undergone this massive change in terms of the opportunities available to us, how we interact, we as consumers, how we interact, and how digital plays a part in our lives. And really, again, not an end-all be-all in digital, but just have that understanding and appreciation that you have to incorporate digital into your strategy or your strategy design or planning, okay? And so this is just the, end it all on this part in terms of this. You have to be responsive to change, and you can see that in a lot of our case studies in terms of something changes, something happens to them, some technology will change or whatever it is, and the companies that can react and be responsive to the change can adapt. The other companies don't, right? They'll fail or fall away or become much less competitive. So again, understand and have appreciation of digital and what it can and can't do for you, and then what are the trade-offs in terms of the tactics that you're going to employ, be traditional marketing strategy or digital. Digital has really created huge opportunities and has been a great disruptive force. But as marketers, we need to look and have a better understanding of what role digital can play, how do we integrate it, and how do we develop integrated strategies using all of the tool sets that are available to us, right? So, a lot of companies, and we've done this in our cases throughout the semester, that companies have something happen to them and they need to adapt and change. And the companies that do that and can embrace and understand the opportunities these new technologies or tool sets have will make them more competitive or more likely to be successful long term.